Welcome to Shepherd's Digest. This is the Daily Edition. I'm Pastor Terry from River City Hope Church in Louisville, Kentucky, and this is the fourth episode in a new series titled Finding Hope at the End of Your Rope. Now, in this series, we're talking about three ways we can find hope when we've exhausted all of our possibilities. The first way is about trust, which we learned about in a previous episode, and we can find hope when we trust that God knows our problems. Now, the second point is this: when we trust God for His provision to meet our needs, it gives Him an opportunity to release our potential, where He expands our faith, which leads us to the third and final point. God gives our provision. In fact, He is our provision. If you remember one of the first points in the message titled, Do You Know the Shepherd? The 23rd Psalm reminds us, The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. And if you've already tuned in for the previous episodes in this series, you know that we're talking about how God provided for a widow who was basically at the end of a rope and trusted in God for His provision. We read this in 2 Kings chapter 4, that the woman and her sons filled one vessel after another until every vessel they'd borrowed was full. She began that day with nothing and she ended it with everything, and then some. That's what our God can do. So what we're really talking about today is God's provision. You know, God will do exactly what He's promised to do. He's a promise keeper. He's faithful. And in the Old Testament book of Joshua, chapter 21, we read that the Lord kept every one of the promises that He had made to the people of Israel. And if you believe He's the same God yesterday, today, and forever, then He will be keeping His promises to you and to me too. Now, in the story of the widow and the oil, we're looking again at 2 Kings chapter 4, and in verse 6 we read, When all the jars were full, she said to her son, Bring me another one. But he replied, There is not a jar left. Then the oil stopped flowing. And the oil flowed until the vessels ran out. When it came down to it, every vessel was filled to full. There was no limit on the amount of oil. The only limit was on the number of vessels. And God's provision knew no limits in her case, and it knows no limits in ours. God is able to meet every need, move every mountain, and solve every problem. His provision is limited by nothing. Now, God stands ready to give all that we make room for in our lives, no more and no less. And He's willing to give according to our preparedness to receive. So let me ask you a question. How prepared are you to receive the blessings of God? Jesus said in Matthew 9:29, According to your faith will it be done to you. And Jesus delights in doing great things. He delights in grace that is greater than our needs. You see, it was the vessels that were limited, not God's supply of oil. And the widow's miracle was measured by her faith in what she believed God was going to do. So I want to encourage you today that no matter the size of your need, enlarge your expectations of God and ask and receive that your joy may be made full. Thanks for tuning in for the final episode in this series. And you can watch the full message of Finding Hope at the End of Your Rope on our church website, hopeforrivercity.com, and on the videos page at shepherdsdigest.com. I'm Pastor Terry Wright from River City Hope Church in Louisville, Kentucky, and I look forward to hearing from you. So drop me a note. Let me know how I can pray for you. Email me, pastor@shepherdsdigest.com. And I leave you with this verse, Philippians 4:6. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And remember that He is faithful to meet our every need. God bless you. We'll see you soon.